my brother Craig.
Okay.
I'm used to talking to like 300 IT nerds all in our big room, so I'm actually more nervous doing this. Kind of weird, but. So, people ask me a lot about what it's like to be adopted. I remember one conversation that I had. It was actually, I remember Bree Williams, Mike Williams' wedding, and he had a couple of his groomsmen. We were all hanging out in the basement watching football or something, and one of them asked me, he's like, hey, so what is it like to be adopted after I'm holding my child? And my daughter, who was, she was like 9 months at that time or something like that.
No, she was like 2.
2 months out. I'm terrible with the numbers. But anyways, basically I was like, have you seen seen the movie The Jungle Book? He's like, yeah. I said, it's not like being raised by wolves. I was like, it's just like any other family. He said, I don't know if I could ever, love someone else's child. And I said, it's not. My parents looked at me and I was their child. And I was like, and just because we don't have the same blood, that doesn't mean we're not family. And actually, I have 3 things I was going to talk about. Actually, I'm going to skip to the third because we always say, or you've probably heard, you choose your friends, you don't choose your family. Well, my parents did, and God chose us too. And that kind of leads me to our first point. As evangelical Christians, we're all adopted, and we're not raised by wolves. We're raised by parents who love us, and we're just kind of on loan from Christ. And in Galatians, Matt already brought up this verse, but I'll read the verse before it. God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who are under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a son, and if a son, then an heir through God. And I remember my parents, there aren't too many phrases I remember, but I do remember this one over and over from when I was 2 or 3, was saying, we love you, we are so glad we adopted you. I know I had a lot of friends or a handful of friends who were adopted who would find out later in life, and I never really understood why they held it back, because, can you imagine, we're all adopted, right, in Christ, so can you imagine just being in heaven, and God saying, us waking up every morning and seeing the beautiful God in all his glory, and him saying, my child, I'm so glad I adopted you. And that's kind of how I see it with heaven. And then the last thing I wanted to make a comment about was, it was mentioned a few times, is my birth mother. She was 15 when she got pregnant with twins. She carried us, and we were born when she was 16. And we were together 15 and a half pounds. So we weren't fragile children. We were big kids. She was 5'1". So she gave up as a 15-year-old. She was actually a state tennis champion too. And I only know her first name. Her first name was Leslie. But she gave up a year of her high school life for 2 boys that she would then give up. So she basically gave herself to God, and she was a devout Catholic based on this one letter I have from her. And she gave up everything she had, or her boys, to my parents, and she just said, I'm going to be an instrument of God. And it doesn't always work out like that. There's different situations, but in my situation, that's what it was. And that's one thing, in this world where we talk about choice, and we're all, you do what you want with your children, but I'm just glad she made that choice for my brother and I, because she not only saved 2 lives, but she saved 8 lives, because we all have our own kids and counting. So that's all I have. But thanks so much for coming, and Matt and Karen, Matt, Belinda, you guys are awesome, and just keep up the great work. And you have no idea how much this means to me to see people continue to do this. So thank you.